Alright, guys. It's 10:46 a.m., March 7th, 2017, and one of the things I've been wanting to do for a while is show you guys how to do a survey analysis in Excel. It will probably help you build your surveys better if you're planning on it, because if you know how the data needs to be structured to analyze it, then you'll know how to ask questions or structure your survey. So here I've just made up a bunch of responses of survey questions. Rank daily physical activity, went to college, age, gender, hours TV per day, how many days a week you eat vegetables, hours you sleep at night, do you use candles, any diseases, and do you own a home. And I just made up all the responses. But I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different ways you can do analysis on this. And I've just started it, but I'm going to also give you the formulas. So we have all our responses in each column. Here's our analysis tab. And this is where we have subgroups and then things we want to know more information about, how each response is related to the other. So if we want to figure out who went to college and who had physical activity greater than, and I actually made these dynamic so you could change them. But here's the formula is just going to be equals count ifs with an S because you got multiple. And so we want to know if they went to college. So count if the college is Y, and if the physical activity level is greater than this. Oop. Gotta put in my parentheses there. So we got a 5. And let me format this. So that means there's 5 people that went to college and also had a physical activity greater than 2. So let's just check it. What's the physical activity? So we had, what was this? Went to college. So let's see, is there 5 there? So that would count as 1 right there. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yep. So look at it. It was able to count just based on this and these two columns and say out of all your respondents, 5 people went to college and had a physical activity level of rated their daily physical activity level as greater than 2, which 5 would, in this case, you could define it as whatever, but in this case 1 would be the least, 5 is the greatest. Now how that's going to play into our percentages, because you might also want to know, well, what percentage of people went to college if you don't want to show numbers in your analysis and just show percentages. Well, it's the same exact setup, but we're just going to we need a hard number here that says total respondents. And then we can do equals count. Really, we know any number in here means it's a respondent, so it should be count 20, and there it is, 20. So that's our reference. We could just do this cell is going to be equal to the number that went to college and had this greater than that, divided by 20. So 25% of total respondents answered yes to college and had physical activity level greater than 2. Now to do this, I'll lock that one, and now look, I can just drag this down and drag this over, And on the binary questions, I don't need to put in like a binary separator. So basically by saying greater than 2 or less than 2, I have a binary thing that I can ask the formula. If the question is already binary, like use candles yes or no, then I just have to count. I can do count yes and yes here to get what I want. Now there's all kinds you can do, and what it is these subgroups at the top are what you're going to use to drive your questions. So let's say we had, instead of making all these dynamic, let's say we wanted to know, we had physical activity level at 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we wanted to know, well, who had a physical activity level of 2 and went to college? Who had a physical activity level of 4 and was a male and went to college, or did not have any diseases, owned their own home. So that's where you can actually go in your survey. Each question can be its own tab like this, and then have you report on subgroups at the top. And each question you can really dive into the answers and percentages. But here, just for time purposes and just to demonstrate the concept of how you use the formulas and how to analyze it and what you're doing here, I have just tried to make it all onto one tab. So let's go to our next one, and I think you'll get the point, and then I'll just fill in the rest manually with formulas. So now we're going to say we can actually just drag. We don't want B to drag, so let's lock B4. We can still go down, but it can't go across. And if we drag this over to here, we actually only have to adjust our criteria. So now we're going to go, well, what's our gender column is D, and we want to count if it is M. So we're actually going to count if D is M, and B, oh, A needs to be locked as well, because A is the physical activity level, so that's going to be locked across. So let's really put that in, and then this is going to be D. Count of column D is M. So we got 7 there. Then have any diseases, what column is that? I. If I, and then owning our own home, what column is that? Is J, and that's going to be Y or N. So count of J is Y. We got 5 there. Then now we have some dynamic references up here to make the binary, the age binary. So now here's what we're going to do. It's a new formula. Equals count ifs. So we're going to say older than 55. So count if age is greater than, count if this is greater than, and then make it dynamic by just doing this cell, and then as well as physical activity is greater than 2. So now you've got 3 people that are older than 55 and have a physical activity level of 2 or greater than 2. Then younger than 55, we could just copy the same formula over and say, and move this over and say, was column C, well, we did greater than 55, so now we're going to do less than or equal to 55. So that's if you're 55 or younger. This is if you're older than 55. So you've got 8 people here that are younger than 55 and have a parameter physical activity level 2. Now that's interesting. Now I did completely random. This is all random, but it's kind of funny. Maybe my subconscious, I put somehow more younger people with greater physical activity levels. I don't know, but that's a result you might expect if this was real data. So that's interesting. So that's one column, and now you can see the percentages all populated. So you can see 25% went to college, had that over to 35% were male, 30% had a disease. Now what's gonna add up to 100%? Let's see here. Well, none of these are, because we're not really sticking to one column. If, say, I had 4 different physical activity levels that encompassed all 20 respondents, like, let's just say, just for demonstration purposes, because sometimes you'll want to tie out to 100%. So let's say you wanted to see greater than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're actually going to do just equal to. So now we're going to actually do count ifs. Went to college is Y, and this is equal to this. And let's see what we had. Just 1 through 5 is all we needed. And we don't need to lock anything. And so you have here, and now you want to do your top line, or your actual total is going to be equals count ifs went to college is yes. So now you have a total of 9, and you can see these added up to 9. So you're going to say your physical activity, and we'll make a percentage. I'll label all this correctly before I finish it out, but I'm just going to do 2 percentage. So this is a little bit of a different case. I'm just going to do this one. So we actually don't even need this. Simply do your 2 divided by 9, lock the 9. So now we can say of everybody that went to college, 22% had physical activity of 1. 22 had 2, 11, 11, 33, and then our total should be 100%, which it is. So that's another way you can take a given question and use the answers that you have in your columns to show some analysis on that. So that's went to college percentage. So we can figure out who went to college and this, and you could isolate all kinds of variables in here and give your percentages and make charts and graphs and everything else. If you wanted to do a chart here, you could say, hold on. Who had a pie chart? We could say, first of all, try to make it for us. We don't want it to. We could do physical activity level. Or percentage. Hold on. Went to college percentage. And then physical activity level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, add some data labels. Data call out. Now if we put that in there, you see, well, of the people that had a physical activity level of 1, 22%, and went to college, you've got 22%. And it goes around, so you've got the total respondents that said they went to college is going to be the total for this, which is 9, and then what percentage of those had 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 as their activity level. And there's your chart. So 5 people, or 34%, or 5, not 5 people, 34% said they had a rating of 5, 11% had a rating of 4, 11% 4, 22% said their level was 2, 22% said their level was 1. So that's that dynamic, and you could kind of expand that however you want. And actually, we didn't need the percentage on this one because we could just do it in one tab. Alright, let me go ahead and do the rest of these formulas for all this, and then I'll be back. Stand by. Alright guys, welcome back. So I finished up doing all the data tabulation and counts on here. So now you can see, you know, get insights. And some of the insights you might want to do are visuals that help demonstrate something. So here I just isolated physical activity levels by subgroup. So you can see I did it as a number and percentage. So here we could say of the amount of males that responded, what percent had a physical activity level at 3 or greater than 3? 30%. And that's saying that, well, 6. And the reason why you can say that percentage is because, well, 6 people said they were male and had a physical activity level greater than 3. Now if we adjust this higher, you see now only 4, and now our percentage is going down to 20%. And if we go up to 5, well, now 0 because nothing's greater than 5 because it only goes up to 5. If we put 1 here, we got 40%. And look at that, younger than 55 is up at 50%. Interesting. So this is just an example. I mean, there's a million different ways you can go with this, with your survey results, but one of the most common ways is you either analyze each question based on a set amount of subgroups that you want to, query based on each question. So you have like 20 different questions. You want to know of each question, how many were college, and also answered the question like this or this. Here I've definitely condensed it into one tab just to isolate a few questions all in one thing. You can do it however you want. You put some charts to it like I've done here. Percentages. Also, I cleaned up this tab a little bit, so now you can see percentage that went to college and percentage that didn't go. And you can see that ties out, the total percentage 45 ties out to the total percentage of people that went to college. 55% total did not go. And then here's a breakout by physical activity level. And the visual. So hopefully this helps you, and I'm also obviously displaying the different things that I'm able to do if you're interested in getting your survey analyzed. There's a lot of different ways to go about this, but this is just one this is just a demonstration of the general mechanics behind it and what's possible with given surveys that you do. You might do a survey for your website or what have you. I can analyze it however you want, do as many subgroups, do as much complex, sometimes we'll have to do some data manipulation on the responses to get everything into a binary fashion if you want to do some more complex analysis and isolate different variables and look at the data in all kinds of ways. Now there's also a more simple analysis like count the number of males and females. So I mean, if we just put count if this is M Actually, I got to get out of the same cell. Let me get over here. I can do count if gender is M, 10, count if it's Y, or I mean F. Well, I really split that up evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, that's completely random, and I did 10 and 10. Interesting. And we know there's 20, so we could just do 50% of each. So counting males and females, you could count. I mean, you could put your days and week that you eat vegetables, which I don't think I isolated that. Oh yeah, I did. So you can see, let's change those numbers around. 3. You see how that changes. But if we wanted to bucket it and say, you know, in our question here, we want vegetables. And then we go down, well, that's got, you know, 1 through 7. So we go 1 through 7 and then count if that column was this and went to college was a Y. And it'd be the same dynamics. We could also count the buckets of ages, so who's, you know, how many people do we have from 0 to age 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, 80 to 100. You could do all those percentages and break up those buckets into the subgroups as well. So how many people are, you know, between 20 and 30 and answered a given way to another question. What else? Anything else? I'm trying to think. That covers the basic dynamics of surveys and survey analysis and data tabulation. So I think you guys got the picture. And like I said, feel free to hire me. I work at $40 an hour. I can analyze any survey you got in any way you want, and as many questions and complexities that you have. This is smarthelping.com, and I'll see you later.